series more influential than any other game series ever. This series has given us multiple titles, all of which attempted to answer one simple question. What's next for gaming? Half-Life 1 attempted to prove that you can have a good story within a first-person shooter. Half-Life 2 attempted to show how important good graphics and a good physics engine can be for a series. Then there was the Half-Life 2 episodes, which attempted to show off a new idea for releasing games within an episodic format, allowing for more games in less time. But then, there was nothing. Half-Life had ended on a cliffhanger, and we were left in the dust. That was until 2019, when a little game going by the name of Half-Life Alyx was announced. Many people expected for it to just be cancelled very quickly. Many people thought it wouldn't come out anytime soon. Well, were they right? It's real. Half-Life Alyx, the first Half-Life game in 13 years, is here and is playable. Let that sink in. So Half-Life Alyx starts off unlike any other Half-Life game. There's no train sequence, nothing. You just are put into the world. So you start off in this white void with some text that sets everything up, letting you know this is 5 years before the events of Half-Life 2 Episode 2. Then, as the white fades away, we see the Citadel, currently being built. So after the bit with the Citadel, you're shown the controls to move, and you're given a bunch of objects to play around with. You have a radio, some cans, some bottles, your normal Half-Life stuff. You then go into the room behind you, and you have to answer a call from Eli, but not before we look at those markers. You can freaking draw on the window. It feels like the best drawing in any VR thing I've ever done. And you can freaking wipe off the markers with your hand. You don't just have to use that eraser. It is... I know this is something small, it's dumb, but it's so good. It's so amazing, it's so polished. Okay, so you answer the call. Eli explains that they're almost done with some sort of heist to get Combine info stuff, and he tells you to meet him at the safe house. And so you're set off. You get to explore a bit of the area that you're in. There isn't a lot going on, and it's mostly just kind of letting you get used to everything. But the game feels so good. There's a part after you leave the room with the call where a strider comes up. It's being used to like work on buildings or something. The sound alone. The first time I played this, I actually backed up and was like ready to just shut that door. It was terrifying. So as I said, you get to see the strider, you walk into a room, there's this little camera you can mess around with, some VHS tapes, a snark, which I don't know if you guys know, that's from the first game. You throw it as like a grenade in that game, which is weird, but it's in this game, and I don't think it was in Half-Life 2 at all, and I'm nerding out again, but I thought that was so cool. You get to feed it, it's great, and even better, some really good fan service here. There's a clipboard with some designs of dog, like leading from a baby all the way up, and even a little Polaroid of dog, and it's so cute and I love it. Meet up with a woman named Olga, who's also part of the Resistance. While talking to her, the Metro Police show up and start closing off the area you were in. You continue on, break some bottles, throw a bike, annoy pigeons, normal stuff. You go through a building, see a cat lady, cross some roofs, drop into an elevator at your safe house, but oh, what's that? I hear something on the other side. This is really dumb. I don't want to do this anymore. You hear something on the other side of the elevator door that sounds like some sort of commotion going on. You hit the button and boom, this Combine pointing guns at you. This scene is the single-handedly best cutscene in a game ever, and I really hope that VR games continue with this style. Half-Life has always had very immersive cutscenes, but this one really sets the bar for immersive cutscenes. Like, nothing could really get this immersive unless you literally reacted to the voice. I can't really explain it as well as I could if I just showed it to you, so I'm just gonna show it to you. There.
Whoa, wait, I just live here. Wait, don't shoot.
Dad, my dad, my...
It was just amazing, honestly. Also, they have your dad. So that's not good. Oopsie. Anyways, you get hit with a stun stick. It looks to be actually a prototype stun stick, which I thought was kind of interesting. And then you fall asleep. You know, a little nappy time. See, the reason why I thought that cutscene was so good, though, I know I'm going back onto it, but it's because in most VR games, in most games in general, especially with VR games, a lot of time in cutscenes, you're just standing there. You're just a body standing there watching things happen. Even if they interact with you, you can't do much. And it's so boring. You're just sitting there fidgeting, kind of looking at your hands, going, ooh, dancing maybe. Outside with a regular game, okay, whatever. I can set the controller down, I can sit back, you know, I can relax. But when I'm in VR, I can't do that. So give me stuff to do. Even if that's sitting there with my hands up and going, boop, 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 until he shoots the button. Give me something to do. So anyways, after you're knocked out with the stun stick, you wake up in the back of a Combine van. It fucking blows up. And the two people who are driving it have a really well-deserved nap. You know, you can tell they're tired. They're totally not dead or anything. They're just sleeping. So you hand this headset and you find out that Russell, someone who was working with your dad during the heist you saw earlier, anyways, he actually is the reason why that place blew up. He was going to try to save you or your dad, but he didn't know which truck was which, so he just took a guess and hey, it turns out he saved you. I guess if he just saved the other one, it would be like Half-Life Eli. That doesn't sound very good. You follow his drone, you find a small playground, break the roundabout. That was really sad. And this drone gets destroyed by a Strider, which is kind of scary. Skipping ahead a bit, you go into Grandma's house. Real nice house. I broke all the tea stuff. You hit a button, go into Russell's lab, and this place is filled with just like fun little Easter eggs and jokes and everything. I'll point out a couple. There's the TF2 Scout bobblehead thing that they have. I love it. It's really cool. There is a head crab in the fridge that's wrapped up. It says "Do not eat." I've already seen people like remaking that, so I think that's gonna be like an iconic thing. Then you get the gravity gloves, and this is where everything just kind of finally clicks together and you're into like the good game. The way it feels to grab stuff, you pick it and then you flick it. You like grab and flick it and then you have to catch it. And it sounds weird, but it's so natural once you like know it, and it feels so good. You feel really cool, honestly, sometimes. And it just feels amazing. And then on top of that, I've already talked about the way that interacting things feels, and this is where you really realize, you get your gun, you get your gravity gloves, and it hits you that this game would not work outside of VR. There is so much done right in this game, from the gameplay to the healing to the gunplay to the atmosphere. There's very little that I even have to say that's bad about this game. That being said, there is some bad. This game has a very good selection of guns. It's small but great. You have a pistol, a shotgun, an SMG. Really the bare minimums when it comes to this. There's no RPG or anything, but you have your easy, smaller weapon, your big boy gun, and your quick firing gun. And it really balances out very well to make it to where you want to use each one depending on what you're dealing with. There's also upgrades with it. In the game you collect this stuff called resin, and using that in Combine upgraders things, you upgrade your weapons. You also will find ammo lying around, but it's nothing like it was in Half-Life 2. Back in Half-Life 2, you killed someone, ammo dropped easy. You never really had to worry about ammo. This game is more of like a survival horror game in the ammo aspect. You really have to count your bullets, almost. Alyx does count the bullets. She counts the mags, actually. And each gun has its own way of showing you how close you are to running out of your ammo in that clip or whatever it is. Shotgun has a number on the back, the pistol has little lines, and the SMG has a little like circle that'll slowly unfill as you use it. all of which is really nice. And then on top of that, you can check your hand, or Alyx will say things while you grab the mag. You grab one, just say last one, 4 left, things like that, which is really, really nice. It reminds me of what the HEV suit was originally going to do in Half-Life 1. There's going to be a lot more talking. And I'm really happy they brought it back because it works very well. You find the ammo in many different ways. In some of the trailers it showed you could like look between stuff and grab ammo. But a lot of times you have to open up drawers, and that once again, it kind of feels like a survival game in that aspect, and I love it. It really does a good job at making you feel like you are just a person in the middle of this gigantic thing. You aren't Gordon Freeman, who is the boss who escaped Black Mesa and wears his HEV suit. You're just Alyx. You're just a girl. You're a 19-year-old girl who is caught up in all this stuff and is just trying to do what she can to help. And it feels that way. One of the first things that really helps make you feel that way is you have 3 hearts. That's it. And that makes it feel really, really scary. But in some places it can feel imbalanced. You see, the Combine, at first, they aren't too bad. As long as you are smart about your shots and everything, you can take them out pretty quickly. But as time goes on, they get harder because they get better. You know, there's different levels. You have your basic Combine, you have heavy Combine. These Combine have these giant minigun things. And as this goes on, they can kill you easier and easier, to the point where there's some who literally will kill you in 2 shots. 2 shots of which are from a minigun. The way this game uses VR is absolutely incredible, and it really, like I've said before, it proves that it had to use VR to work. Without VR, this game honestly wouldn't have been as good. It would have felt like a Half-Life 2 mod. Yeah, it's a good story, but that VR is what makes it such a good game. If you don't have the money for VR, then save up for it. I highly suggest it. A lot of people seem to think that you have to play the index. You use the index to play this, but that's not true at all. In reality, I mean, I played it with a CV1. This is the first gen Rift, not even the Rift S, and it played fine. Another big problem, probably like the second biggest problem, is the lack of melee in a Half-Life game. You know, Mr. Crowbar Man, the game that literally has its logo as a guy holding a crowbar, you can't hit things. Now, I understand not giving us the crowbar, that's Gordon's. Keep it with Gordon's. But there's even a part where there's a lead pipe in a door, and you can't even hit things. It goes right through people. You're gonna hit objects, but the enemies does nothing to. I think the last problem I have to mention is the physics. The physics as a whole is great. It feels really good. There's a few spots that I thought were weird. If you pick up something that's heavier, like the lead pipe for example, it feels kind of rubbery. Other than that, it's really good, except for the few times when they just didn't add physics in. There's stuff where you literally can just put your hand right through it. Now, I understand your fingers. A lot of games, when you have like full-on objects, you can put your fingers through stuff because it's really hard to get each finger and then allow it to do stuff, and it's just uncomfortable. So the main hand, the palm, is what hits things, and the fingers can go through. Whatever, not a big deal. And then you can put the whole hand through it. There's a part at a train station where I just put my whole hand through this big wire. I understand missing some stuff. It happens. But when you notice it and it happens, it's like, damn. It could have been perfect. But once again, this isn't a huge complaint. It's more of like a, damn, that's upsetting type of thing. But it's really weird to me though, because like, as a whole, this game is so polished. There's so much polish in this game. Like you can tell Valve took their time when making this. They took the time, they play tested, and changed things when it needed to be to make sure that this game was as perfect as it could when it came out for us to play. And it shows. Like I said, there are some times where you put your hand through something or something doesn't work. There's a time where I dropped something on top of something, like a box of buttons. I put a health thing on it and it just fell right through. There's a hitbox for me, but the objects just didn't collide. I don't know why. They probably forgot to put a collider on top of it. It happens. but it sucks. But other than that, the amount of lore polish, world building polish, and just polish in general is amazing. No game is glitch free. As I mentioned, there's glitches. It happens. It's okay. I really want it to be known that when I mention these things, it's a bit of like picking at it, but I don't want it to be seen as me actually doing that, because I fully recognize that this game is gonna have glitches. Every game will. There's no such thing as a glitch-free game. I just want to point them out. Valve is back 100%, and this proves it. They said in interviews that they wanted to continue making games, and they're glad to be back to making games, and you can tell, because they put everything they had into this. If you see something, you can interact with it, and there's a lot of times where you interact with something, and Russell will bring up stuff and talk about it. There's actually a part with a floppy disk where he reads off the entire Wikipedia page and claims that he downloaded most of the internet before this whole happened, which is great. It's great. Russell is just an amazing character, by the way. He's like top tier Half-Life character. Speaking of dialogue, while there isn't a lot of interaction with other characters, when there is, it's just great. What I'm trying to say with this whole section is that this game has a lot of heart, and a lot of heart has been put into it, and it really shows. And it has some really good moments, and some of the best moments are fucking terrifying.
This section is absolutely terrifying. The problem is, you can't really talk about fear and have it be more than just me going, that was scary. I mean, I'm sure it's possible, but I personally can't do it, and sadly, I didn't record myself while playing this section, so you won't get to hear my whimpers of fear as I wish for Jeff to die. But I can attempt to explain what this section is without trying to spoil too much, because you can only experience this by playing it. Me talking about it isn't enough. Jeff is terrifying on almost every level. He cannot see, but he can hear. That's his big gimmick, which obviously means you have to lure him around with stuff that makes noises. You are inside a distillery, meaning there are tons and tons of vodka bottles all around you, which when shatter, make noises. So it's pretty obvious that you're supposed to throw these bottles around in order to lure him. The problem is that in order to get through this distillery, you have to open multiple things that make even louder noises. The way Jeff looks is probably one of the most terrifying parts. He still has this human parts to him. You can see his body and parts of his face of what once was a person, but is now taken over by whatever this crap is that came from Zen. That alone is just creepy. But on top of that, the fact that every little move you make can cause him to come at you and kill you is also very scary, especially with the fact that if you're holding a bottle and happen to bump up to something, it could shatter. He also spurts out spores which can cause you to cough unless you hold your mouth or have a mask on. This means that just by him passing by you, he can then find you if you aren't smart enough to cover your mouth or wear a mask, even if you're luring him somewhere. He is built on all of the things that just creep you out the most. This almost human look to him, the fact that he screeches this just monster-like screech, the fact that he can easily find you just by simple noises, something that humans make regularly, and the fact that his entire section is in pretty dark areas. And the fact that you have to interact with him multiple times, each time becoming tighter, enclosed, and easier to break bottles in. That's why this scene is probably one of the most intense horror experiences to ever be made. And I don't know how you could top it, other than making it to where your mic on the headset also interacts with him.
So, lastly, I want to talk about the end of this game. I wasn't going to. I was going to leave this video without spoiling the end. But after playing it, I need to talk about it. So, if you haven't played this game and you don't want spoilers, please don't just click off. You can click to this time code in the video to skip this whole thing. Or you can follow the time code in the pinned comment. Or you can also, if you aren't able to skip through a time code easily because you're on mobile or something, you can trim through the video until you find the part where this yellow spoiler bar at the top is gone. So without further ado, it's time to talk about the end of Half-Life Alyx. You wake up in the vault, and you're in a room. And this part's great. It's amazing. It's probably one of my favorite parts in the whole game because it's just so trippy. You're in a building, like multiple apartment buildings. As you walk through, some are flipped on their sides and you're looking down at the floor while you're on the roof. Some are sideways and you're walking on the walls, or it's mirrored on top and bottom, and you're going through all this shit, but you end up making it through this. And I want to say again, this part would not work outside of VR. Please stop saying this game shouldn't have been a VR, because it had to be. It doesn't work outside of it. Anyways, you make it out of this whole section. You walk towards this, looks to be some sort of Combine-looking hallway. And there's a Combine on the other side of the door. He's trying to get in. He wants to shoot you. And you have fucking green electricity powers. This part's like a power fantasy. You're just throwing shit at the Combine, making your way through, killing them, destroying Combine. It's amazing. You throw grenades at them, you get your powers back, you kill more, and finally you make it to the vault. You walk up. You say, okay, Gordon, let's get you out of there. These two things attached to it. You put your hands on the wires. You send a shock through. Wait a second. That's not Gordon. The glass breaks, but that's not Gordon. It's very obviously not Gordon. The lights turn on and it's not Gordon.
Impressive work, Ms. Vance.
Gordon Freeman?
Gordon Freeman. Ms. Vance, you wouldn't need all that to imprison Gordon Freeman.
So, who are you?
Perhaps what I am is not as important as what I can offer you in exchange for coming all this way. Some believe the fate of our worlds is inflexible. My employers disagree. They authorize me to nudge things in a particular direction from time to time. What would you want nudged, Miss Vance?
The Combine off Earth. I want the Combine off Earth.
That would be a considerably large nudge. Too large, given the interests of my employers.
Well, you asked.
What if I could offer you something you don't know you want?
Dad? What? Is that me? What is this? What's happening?
We are in the future. This is the moment where you watch your father die. Unless...
What? Unless what?
Unless you were to take matters into your own hands. Release your father is that? Good. As a consequence of your action, this entity will continue, and this entity will not.
Right. So he's okay, right? He lives. My dad lives.
You are aware that you've proven yourself to be of extraordinary value. A previous hire has been unable or unwilling to perform the tasks laid before him. We have struggled to find a suitable replacement until now.
No! I just want to go home. Send me home!
I'm afraid you misunderstand the situation, Miss Vance.
Wait! Hey, wait! Wait! Wait!
Warning. Vital signs critical. Seek medical attention.
Gordon! Gordon! Wake up, Gordon. She's gone, Gordon. She's gone. Son of a bitch, it has unforeseen consequences. I knew it. When I get my hands on her, I'm gonna kill her. Gotta figure this out. Right now. You got work to do.
That's all I can really say about Half-Life Alyx. I think I've said basically everything I want to. The game is amazing. It's everything I wanted from a Half-Life game. And now I want to say this. I am not a massive Half-Life fan. I'm just not. I like it. I love it. I'm getting more into it. Half-Life Alyx is making me into one. I'm actually planning on working on an HEV suit here soon out of EVA foam. I'm really excited about that. But before this game, I just kind of liked it. It's good. It's a fun game, but now I love it. I finally see what draws so many people. I do have to say before we end all this that it's so weird taking off your VR headset after playing for multiple hours. You get so used to that. When you take off the headset, it's almost like you don't know where you are. It's a very strange feeling.